all, of course, know that Massachusetts is a blue state. From the leadership on Beacon Hill to the delegation on Capitol Hill, there's not a single Republican in the bunch. But with Deval Patrick's tenure as governor drawing to a close, Republicans stand a fighting chance to retake the corner office this year. That is, if the party's new platform doesn't get in the way. WGBH News political reporter Adam Reilly has more.
The Massachusetts GOP's new platform doesn't shy away from hot-button issues. Take same-sex marriage. The GOP platform says traditional marriage strengthens our society and suggests the public should get a vote on marriage rights. There's also a nod to religious liberty, the basis for Arizona's push to legalize anti-gay discrimination. On abortion, the platform states, every instance of abortion is tragic. Some Republicans believe these stances are risky.
At a time when we could be talking about the state having a higher unemployment rate than the national average and the DCF tragedy, we're talking about gay marriage, and that plays right into the Democrats' hands.
Gubernatorial candidate Charlie Baker may agree. In a statement, he said he's pro-choice and has always been a strong supporter of marriage equality. And other Republicans worried that in a big election year, this platform could be the last thing the party needs. One of the interesting wrinkles here is that the chair of the Mass GOP, Kirsten Hughes, actually voted against this platform. But even though she did, it passed by a really wide margin. I think it was 52-16. So she is not in line with at least a certain part of her party.
You know, it's interesting, Adam, about the language because they allow traditional marriage without condemning gay marriage. They call abortion tragic, but they're not calling for the repeal of Roe v. Wade. Yeah,
I actually think that the language is a little more understated than some people have argued. The language on marriage, for example, I would say is less incendiary than some of the stuff former Governor Mitt Romney said when he was opposing same-sex marriage. Remember, he would talk about how, you know, for thousands of years, marriage had been between one man and one woman, or how every child deserved a mother and a father. And it doesn't go that far. Similarly, on abortion, to say that every abortion is a tragedy, to me, echoes what Hillary Clinton said way back in 2005. Remember, she gave a speech on the anniversary of Roe versus Wade and said, for many women, abortion is a sad, even tragic choice. All that being said, you know, it's not 2005 anymore, it's 2014. And here in Massachusetts, the language that is in the platform does stand out. It sends a message.
How is this going to affect Charlie Baker, who is both pro-choice and and favors gay marriage?
Yeah, I don't think the platform itself is going to, you know, be a lodestone around his neck, because by the time voters go to the polls in November, they're going to know that Charlie Baker is a pro-choice, pro-same-sex marriage candidate, and he's very credible. You don't get the feeling he's putting on these positions. You feel like he genuinely believes it. That being said, what I think is worrisome for Baker here is the suggestion of some kind of schism in the ranks of the GOP. As you know, there are not many Republicans in Massachusetts. If Charlie Baker is going to be elected governor, he needs the support of all of them. This suggests that that may be a tall order.
All right, Adam Reilly, thank you for that. Well, one of the state's prominent Republicans who's expressed concern over the party's new platform is Gabriel Gomez. He's a former Republican candidate for U.S. Senate who lost to Ed Markey in last year's special election to replace John Kerry. Welcome back to Greater Boston, Gabriel Gomez. Pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So were you surprised by this, the move to the right on the platform?
I guess I was surprised. You know, we are in 2014. If you see just the trend going throughout the country, not just Massachusetts. I mean, Massachusetts was the first state to legalize gay marriage, but you look at it's the trend that's spreading throughout the country, even in red states, obviously. You just had the governor of Arizona veto a similar type legislation that said the same thing that our plank says. But you know, it's you know, it's a majority on the state committee, but it's still a small number of people. And sometimes state committees do things that don't reflect at all what the people represent. I mean, Arizona, they censured John McCain for not being in tune with them. And that's just what state committees do that sometimes, but they definitely don't reflect what the rest of the Republicans in the state think about.
Well, as I understand it, there's no vote on this in the party's meeting on March 22nd. So it's not going to come up for a vote. But nonetheless, a number of highly placed Republicans like yourself are horrified by it. I talked to another person today, just couldn't comprehend it. Even that highly charged language about not wanting illegal or undocumented people to have driver's licenses, they call them illegal aliens, which is a throwback to language from 20 years ago.
Right, and it's like I said, it's a small group of people that obviously make a lot of noise, but you can see that they're not very effective. When I ran in a primary, and obviously I didn't have the support of those people on that state committee to vote the way they did, and we won 51% of the vote in the primary against a very conservative person that was running against me. So they make a lot of noise, but in the end, they don't reflect whatsoever the majority views of the Republican Party here in Massachusetts.
I was told by the same person that a lot of what got into the platform was a compromise. If this was a compromise, what did they take out that would have been even more charged? I mean, there was some things that were very vague about the environment, for instance. No new laws about the environment. Did they take climate denial out of there? I mean, what did they take out?
You know, I don't understand what they may have not taken out or what they decided to put in there. But the reality is you got Charlie Baker, who's got a gay brother. Yeah. He's legitimately, genuine about the way he feels about equality on marriage. You've got Richard Chassé, who was his running partner running for Congress, who's gay and got married this past summer. And the vast majority of the people, and the Republicans here in a blue state, feel that there should be gay marriage and that there should be equality of marriage. And so they're going to talk about jobs, they're going to talk about the economy, and when we get into later on in the campaign, they're going to realize that the candidates that we're going to put forward don't reflect at all the views of that state committee.
Was there anything in there that you agreed with? Even national education policy, they are anti-Common Core values.
Like I said, I have a hard time with the majority of that state committee, and like I said, the state committee, they're voted in, and I know that they select the committees and all that, but to discuss the platforms. But in reality, they don't represent the people of Massachusetts, and they don't represent the Republican Party. There's a lot of good working activists out there that definitely don't share the views of that part of that committee. And it's just a shame because it takes away the focus of what we're trying to talk about. We're trying to talk about jobs, talking about the economy, talking about education, talking about the inequality of the income inequality, talking about how we can get people out of poverty and get them into the middle class, which is what people care about right now. We know that the ship has sailed and that it's accepted to have gay marriage. It's accepted that we're going to have some kind of comprehensive immigration reform. I mean, that state committee would probably vote against any kind of comprehensive immigration reform bill probably as well. And we're a pro-choice state here as well, and it's unfortunate they focus on those issues.
Does it give you any hope, the fact that Kirsten Hughes, who's the state party chair, voted against it? She was in the minority, although the vast majority went for this. Yeah,
and I think that tells you that the head of the Mass GOP is not in conform with that part of the state committee. She came out, I think today she was interviewed by the Patriot Ledger, and she came out strongly saying that she doesn't support that. She voted against it. And all the major candidates we have out there right now, from what I've seen, have publicly come out and distance themselves as far as they can, which I applaud them for. I mean, if I was running, I'd be doing the exact same thing as well.
It used to be at these state conventions, I used to go to them, you would vote on these platforms, usually in bulk, sometimes in piecemeal. They're not doing that. Whose call is that? Is that Kirsten Hughes' call? And she says, let's not even get into this. Who gets to decide?
Honestly, I don't. And I can tell you, I've never been to a state convention.
Oh, yeah? Oh, boy. You don't know what you're missing. On a Saturday in June?
No, and I think ours is actually...
yours is March.
The Republicans, I think, is in March, but, we're going to be on spring break, so I won't be there.
All right. Gabriel Gomez, always a pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you very much, man.
Appreciate it.